and welcome. This is Annika Hutchinson, and today I have a wonderful guest who's joining, Sheila FG. Hi, Sheila.
Hey, Annika, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on here.
I am so excited to have you join in, and thank you so much for being here today. How's your day going? Tell us a little bit about
Um,
it so far.
it's good. It's been really busy, but and lots of last minute things. So it's been good. It's
Yeah.
just life.
I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
Some days it's really chill and mellow, and other days you're like going, 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 and you're like, when
Right.
am I gonna
Yeah.
get
I
the
feel like
break?
today is if something was going to go wrong, it's going wrong today. So, but that's okay. It's near the end now, so we're good.
Exactly. We're near the end. Thank you again for being a part of the podcast. And we're gonna be getting into something that I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs are really, you know, gonna take on, or they want the details or information about, because sponsorship is very important, and that's what we're gonna be talking about today. The long
Awesome.
run sponsorship. So, Sheila, before we get into it and start talking, can you share a little bit about your background with us and tell us about
Sure.
why you decided to get into this area,
Yeah.
representing businesses and, getting them sponsorship opportunities?
Sure. Yeah, so you can probably hear by my accent, I'm Irish. I came over to the States, gosh, over 30 years ago now. My big fear was I'd meet an American and get stuck over here, which is pretty much what happened, but that's okay. But once we started, like, we got married and had kids, and once we started having kids, I really wanted to be home and be accessible to my kids, and just kind of, I didn't want to work at a job where I had to, show up at a certain time and all that kind of stuff. So, I started a business way back then and have kind of started several businesses since then. I managed to sell two, which was kind of cool. And about 10 years ago, I helped out a friend who's a friend and business partner who had just gotten recruited into a big digital marketing agency here in the States. They do a ton of events, mainly traffic and conversion is one of their big events.
Yeah.
And when she went to work for them as their director of events, she asked me if I could come in and help out a little bit with sponsorship. So I did. And just doing something like that for an event that big, a lot of people kind of saw what I was doing and asked me if I could do that for them as well. So there was never this business, there wasn't like a plan. It wasn't like, I sat down and wrote out a business plan and
Yeah.
said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. It just kind of started to happen organically,
Mhm.
which is really kind of cool, So I just kind of let it happen and leaned into it. And 10 years later, it's just been a ton of fun. And in the last year or so, I've kind of pivoted more towards the consulting and put together training on it as well to kind of teach other people to do what I do. So I'm totally enjoying the whole thing.
Awesome. So,
Yeah.
would you say that it was the best decision of helping that friend out?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would help her out anyway. She's a great friend, so she could pretty much call me up to do anything, and I'd be like, "Okay, I'm game. I'm down. I'll do it."
Yeah, you do have those friends where anything they say. Once they say, "Hey," you're like, "I'm down. I'm ready to
Yep,
go."
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
All right.
sure.
So we're gonna get into a little rapid questions with Sheila. We're
Okay,
gonna see how many
this is kind of intimidating me a little bit. I'm not sure what you're about to ask, but that's okay. I'm sure I can roll with it.
you can roll with it. I know you can. So we're gonna ask Sheila some questions. It's gonna be rapid, so it's gonna be really quick, and it's gonna be for a minute. So let's see how many questions. Here we go. Name five places you want to visit in 2021.
Oh, Europe, back to Europe again. I'd like to go back to Ireland. I'm Irish. I'm actually going to, God, 2021, there's not much time left. I'm going on a cruise to the Greek Isles, which I'm really excited about in
Ooh.
September. I'd like to go to Martha's Vineyard this summer. I went working there when I was over here in college. I came over for a summer working in Martha's Vineyard. So that's one, two, three. Um, California again to see my parents would be four, and Disney World. How
Oh,
about that?
nice.
Five. I'm just trying to think, what can I do like
I
in the
know,
last back
right?
end of the year?
Okay. Apple, apple, apple. How many times did I say apple?
Three.
Yeah. Good. Where is the worst place you could get stuck?
In a sewer pipe? I'm not sure.
Who's your biggest inspiration?
Oh, wow. A lot of them. Walt Disney, Dan Kennedy, Bill Glazer, Russell Brunson, a lot of people in digital marketing,
Awesome.
Roland Fraser.
What is the meanest thing you've ever said to someone?
Oh, wow. Jeez. What could I have said? Um, oh, mean things I've said to people. I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm not sure.
Time.
Good.
But you can say, go ahead and say it. Tell me.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't really know.
You
I
don't
mean,
remember.
yeah, I
All
try
right,
not to be mean.
we'll throw another one then. What's
Okay.
at the top of your bucket list?
The top of my bucket list is to fly private.
Oh yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Pick me up when you're fun.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank you so much for playing along.
No problem.
Hey, that was quick, right?
That was quick.
And
Yeah,
it was
not
good,
bad.
right?
Not bad. Yeah, they're easy question. Well, pretty easy.
Pretty easy, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. So we're gonna get into the long game sponsorship. So I
Yep.
know that, when it comes on to sponsorship, many times, as entrepreneurs, we think we have to know a lot of people or it has to always be paid. So Sheila, can you share with us or, share with the audience like what are some steps that they can take just to start off,
Yeah,
with sponsorship?
absolutely. Yeah, it never has to be big. It's just, I think the most important step and fundamentally is figuring out what it is that you have to offer a sponsor. So if you do events, if you have a podcast, if you have a book, what is like, who is your audience? What are you offering the sponsor access to? Because that's really what they're looking for is access to your audience. So if I work with events a lot, so I'm going to use events as the example, but it can really be anything. So if you have an event, usually people are coming to you and listening to you for some sort of transformation. So they probably are coming to get to where you are now. That's a lot of the time what it is. So if you can kind of think about you before you became the you are today. So when you were starting out, what did you struggle with? What helped you? What resources did you need? And those are going to be really good sponsors for you. So the important thing with sponsorship, and this is what the long game entails, is that you want to make sure it's win-win-win for everyone. So when you bring a sponsor into your platform, they're looking for access to your audience. So that for them is the win, is if they get access to the demographic that they know is going to buy their thing. And when I say demographic, it's not just like, a woman who's 45, blah, blah, blah. It's more kind of psychographic of like, what is it? What drives them? Why are they trying to do what they're doing? How are they trying to do it? And then as your audience, they're getting great benefit because you're teaching them or you're helping with them with some sort of a transformation. And then you're also providing all of the resources they could ever possibly need to get there. So you're really setting them up for success. And then for you as a host or as an event owner or the owner of this group, you get to bring great value to your audience, but B, you get to monetize it as well, which is always kind of nice. But the money the sponsorship brings in kind of has to be at the bottom of the pile of all that. You want to make sure that you're curating something that's really valuable for everyone first, before you're just thinking, I'm just going to hopefully get a big check because I'm bringing this guy into my audience. Does that
Exactly.
make sense?
Exactly. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, that's
sponsorship
fine.
was really good.
No worries.
What type of businesses can benefit from a strategy, planning, or partnership, I should say, and
Um,
sponsorship?
Pretty much any business. So when you're in business, like it's being in business can be very lonely because you're just kind of it's you making all the decisions. You don't really have like partners per se. So like when you think of strategic partners, you want to think of who can you bring in that's going to help move your business forward, but it's also going to help them as well. So these can be a sponsor or a strategic partnership. But
Mhm.
like so some simple examples, like if you were a realtor and you sell real estate, you'd start to gather a team around you of like a home inspector and a mortgage broker and a closing attorney and things like that. And then you start passing business back and forth and they become your partners so that when you go to your client, you're offering them this whole suite of services, not necessarily the services you do, but a whole suite of services, so that they can really kind of get everything kind of one-stop shop type of thing. So you're bringing a lot of value to your client that way, and you're bringing value to the partners that you have there, and hopefully they're doing the same and feeding business back to you. So when you think of it in terms of business, like if you have business colleagues that have a similar target audience to you, but offer something different, so you're not really in direct competition, this can be a really good way to have a strategic partnership. And then you just have to make sure that your values align as well, that you have the, that you feel the same about the things that are important to you, and that your values are kind of similar. Because if they're not, then it's not going to work very well either. So
Exactly.
yeah.
So do you think that business owners they lose when they offer to a company they will sponsor an event for free, or they'll offer their services to that company? Do you think they lose, or is
I
it more
don't
like
think
a
so. I
win-win
think
situation?
I think if they're being strategic about it, so like everyone has to start somewhere. And if you're smaller, or if you don't have a track record, sometimes you have to kind of start at either a lower price point, or a free, to show the value that you're going to bring.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of have to get vulnerable for a little while and be like, okay, let's put this together. Let's try this out. Let's make sure that we're both winning out of it. And if we are, then then we can talk further, and set up something that's going to really work for both of us. So a lot of times when people are bringing in sponsors, I'd suggest to them maybe doing a free or a low price, just to prove what you're going to do, and like treat them like gold when they come in, and then they're going to obviously want to keep coming back year after year after year. So
Yeah.
I don't think you're ever really losing in anything you do, especially like if you're giving first. Like sometimes it just isn't going to work out for whatever reason. But I think if you go in with a servant's mindset and a servant's heart and giving first, I think it comes back to you so many fold, rather than going in thinking, what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of this? Is this worth doing? I think you just have to have faith and kind of jump in, like
Yeah, exactly.
and get there. Yeah.
Because in the long run, as you said before, it's going to come back to you. Because if you're hosting events and that
Yeah.
company that you probably offered free services to, they could say,
Yeah.
"Hey, let me sponsor your event."
Right.
So it
Exactly.
can always come back to you.
It can
So
always come back to you. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
And also when you think of anyone who's really done you a favor in business, like sometimes I'm just blown away by like the help I get from people. And
yeah,
like, it's all I can think of night and day. Like, how can I get back, pay them back? How can I do
mm-hmm,
something for them? What do
exactly,
they need? So it's the whole kind of law of reciprocity. When someone does something nice for you, you just feel like you have to do something nice for them as
exactly. You
well,
want to give them something.
Yeah. Because
You
you're
want to
just so
offer
grateful.
back that. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like if we want to talk price, or we want to talk, because you said low, start off a low price, and
Yeah.
what would you say would be a low price for someone? Like,
It depends. I mean, it depends on what you're offering, and there unfortunately in sponsorship there isn't really like a this is the rule book
a
and you
set.
just do this, this, that, and the other. A lot of times, would your audience be familiar with affiliate marketing?
Yeah,
Yeah. So affiliate marketing, basically you are promoting somebody's product and you get like a commission for it. So a lot of times that's a good way to start out, is to have the sponsors come in and maybe that you do a share of the profit. So it's kind of less risk on both of you.
yeah,
As an event owner or a podcast owner or platform owner, doing that, like just the fact that you can say I'm sponsored by XYZ company is, that's kind of like a feather in your cap. That's like, oh, this must be really good if
exactly.
somebody's sponsoring it. They don't know the back end deal or much why the person is there. But it just kind of gives more credibility. And then you have a case study afterwards. You could be like, so company X came in, they were in front of this many people, they had this many sales, they converted this many sales into like a higher ticket item or whatever it is. And then you kind of have those stats and testimonials, and you can have the person from the company, do a video testimonial for you and stuff like that. That's all things you can use moving forward as well. So it doesn't have to be like $1 million deal, like the first deal out. It's probably not going to be. So,
Exactly. It's not gonna be
yeah,
like that, but the more you put into it, you're
yeah,
gonna get to it. As you said, like testimonials, when you have
exactly.
clients who share more about what you have done for them, and they can see your growth, and they can see, oh, this person have helped this client in this way, let me work with them. So
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
exactly. Exactly. Yep, you got it.
Yeah. So how to typically engage with sponsors? How do you typically reach out to them and engage?
So I do a lot of research. I have a bunch of kind of different tactics that I use to get in front of them. And then like the first engagement really is like, what are you looking for? Like, what are your goals? What are your sales goals? What are your ideal audiences? So
Mhm.
I really want to understand them and understand what it is that they're trying to achieve, rather than just trying to make up stuff that, well, we're going to offer you X, Y, and Z, and they may not care
Exactly.
about
Yep.
X, Y, and Z. So I just want to really kind of get a feel for them and who they are and what they're looking to achieve, and then see if that's something that we can try and help happen for them. Again, we're always going in with that kind of win-win type
Win-win.
ideal, you know.
Hmm. And then what are some indicators, like some basic indicators to determine whether or not uh event is good for you to sponsor? I mean, we touched a little bit on, you know, whether it's going to benefit you, it's going to benefit the organization. But,
Yeah,
sometimes as, entrepreneurs who are just starting out, we think like everything is we can put our feet in or we can touch. So,
yeah, which is kind of yeah, you can, that's kind of uh, as an entrepreneur, and trust me, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm always like, oh, look, I could do this, or
yeah.
I could do that, or I could totally do that. It's yeah, it's trying to focus in and seeing, just kind of like focus on a couple of things and get them going first before you kind of lose your focus and go off after something else. So I think for entrepreneurs looking to bring in sponsors, the first thing they really have to get a feel for is who exactly their audience is. What's their avatar? What are they trying to achieve? And then work backwards from that. So once they figure out like what the things that this person needs, then they can start working backwards and seeing what companies would be good for that. And if, say, for example, they need an email marketing system or a CRM, there's a whole bunch of companies that do that. So like start reaching out to all of them and see, like, maybe you have a favorite that you're already using, but
Yeah.
reach out to all of them and say, this is what I have. I've gathered together this group, or wherever the platform is, and I wanted to see like your level of interest of getting in front of them and what that would look like, and then just kind of have the conversation like that. It's all networking and relationships.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
sales as well, but I feel like networking and relationships are much more important than going in kind of like on the hard sell type thing.
Exactly. And then do you provide any like pitch or template or anything that you can say, hey, use this to pitch to this
Yeah, I
person?
do. I do a lot of that. Like, so once COVID broke out, I always wanted to put together this as some sort of a product or something. And once COVID broke out, I started going through and doing that and looking
Mhm.
at, how do I do this, and like what do I use, and I don't use a lot of very technical things, but I have like different kind of worksheets and things that I use to keep track of things, basically.
Exactly.
So I kind of put all that together into this product, so that people can use that. They can take it and download it and then make it their own and change it however way they want, or just so that, like, I think it's easier to work off something that's already there than to try and work off a blank sheet. So if you have like the outline of, okay, so this is the way Sheila does it. I don't like the way she does this, so I'm going to change that this way. So
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
make it
Mhm.
personal to yourself. I just think it's easier to kind of get started with something than get started with nothing.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
It's better to start with something than nothing because
exactly.
many times, as I earlier was mentioning to you how we have the idea to
Hmm.
do something and we delay the process, but as you mentioned that 2020 it's actually taught many of us to just go out and do it.
Just
And
do
so,
it. Yeah.
if you have it, then if you have like a plan, a step by step guide, it's much better for you to go ahead and start doing something than
And that's what I always look for as well, because it's funny. Like, I consider myself an expert in sponsorship to the point that I don't always remember how I got to do what I'm doing. So I just now what happens is it becomes so natural. It's like, do you remember the like, break down all the ways that you drive a car?
Yeah.
You don't. You just get in the car,
And
you
you
turn it
start doing
on,
it.
and you show up somewhere, and you're like, oh, I don't even remember that whole journey, you know? So it's kind of the same. So you have like I've tried to go back to like the beginning of like when I was starting this, like what did I find difficult and what helped me with that, and try to incorporate that all that into it. To just really kind of focus on that. But it's funny because as part of that, what I never did with my sponsorship really was what I'm doing now is going out and email marketing and list building and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like on one side I'm the expert, and on the other side I'm the student, and I'm like learning all
You're
this stuff, and
learning.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, and I learned something, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so excited about this. I didn't know you could do that, and it's fun. I love it.
But that's the thing, you never stop learning. It
No,
doesn't
no, not at
matter who
all.
you are, how
Yep.
old you are, you're always going to be learning something
Yes.
new.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when it comes on to the social media platform.
Yep.
You know, we're all trying to navigate the new changes because every day there's something new, or there's now, like on Instagram, you can add, if you have a book, you can add a book right now.
Oh
So you
wow.
yeah. So
That's
there,
really cool.
how you have your link at the top, and
Yep.
you have your shop, and yeah, you can now add a book so people can just click on
Wow.
there and yeah, go purchase right away.
That's pretty cool. That's awesome.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
things are changing every day. So, you have to learn how to keep up with, what's happening, and, especially with the business field. Everybody's
Yeah.
transitioning from the
Yep.
storefront to online.
Exactly. Like that was a big change this year. It's
Mhm.
like all of a sudden people weren't coming into stores or restaurants or
No,
any of these other things. And if you
exactly.
wanted to stay alive, you had to figure something out fast. So I mean, bad and all as COVID was, there's some great things that came out of it. And
A
this is
lot of
one of
great
them,
things.
innovation.
Yeah, it sure did. And it,
Yeah.
it also brought, I think, a lot of entrepreneurs in a community close together to support and
Yes.
network with each other,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
you found that you had to lean on each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was great too.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
And then your podcast. I mean, this is a great forum for people to come in and listen as well. And just like, it's just a quick like few snippets, and it just the striking of that idea. This is what I love about being an entrepreneur, of like hearing something, and it's just like it's so new, and it's like the idea, and you're like, oh my god, and then you kind of go down a rabbit hole, and you're trying to figure
Exactly.
it out, and I love it. So this is great what you're doing with the podcast as well. I
Thank
love it.
you. And then our mind keeps going.
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
Sometimes we
yeah.
gotta shut it off for a minute, but
Yeah, try and go to sleep at night. It's like, come on,
exactly,
fun.
because you wake up
We could
like,
do
oh, I have
this.
an idea.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what roles has mentorship and personal development played in the success of the connection with sponsors?
So I think mentorship and personal development have played a ton. So mentorship, I've just like always surrounded myself with great people that I can just learn from. I'm super curious. I'm always looking to learn. Like, why are you doing that like that, or why are you saying that like that? So I'm always like thinking and listening and observing. Because there's just so much that I don't know. So, really want to learn that.
Yeah.
And it just having like the people who've walked before you, that you can kind of walk their path and learn the frameworks, and because why, like, we don't need to sit here and reinvent it all again ourselves. It's like someone out there has probably done it already or
Exactly.
done something similar, so you can like I look at everything kind of differently. Like when I get an email from someone, I'm not just like looking at the message of the email, like a promotional email. I'm not just looking at the message of the email, but I'm also like, okay, so in the first paragraph he did this, and then he did, so it's just like, maybe I'll try that and see what works with it and everything. So
Yeah.
just like look deeply into everything rather than just, be annoyed that
And
someone's emailing you all the time to sell you something.
true.
Yeah.
You learn. I mean, one thing I've taken away over these years is that you're never too old or young to actually
Hmm.
learn something.
Yep.
And if you actually put yourself in the frame of mind to take what other people have to say, I mean, sometimes it's not, people come off the wrong way sometimes. But I mean, if you, sidetrack from how their behaving
Yeah.
or their attitude
Yeah.
is, You can actually take something away from them. So
Exactly. One of my mentors uses the phrase "seek to understand." So when someone comes in, especially when someone comes at you angry and hot and just
mm,
like, blah 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 blah, rather than just like jumping in and being as angry and like fighting your
yeah,
side, just step back for a few minutes and ask some questions and seek to understand where they're coming from,
mhm,
because it may not be like the thing that you just emotionally reacted to. It could be, something completely different, or maybe you were wrong, or whatever, so just like take a breath, take a step back, and seek to understand. I love that
exactly.
one.
Yes. Why should entrepreneurs be leveraging partnership, I should say, when it
uh,
comes on to gaining sponsorship?
yeah, so I think it just makes sense. I mean, I think that there's stuff and opportunities out there for you that you may not necessarily see. Again, it's, there's many ways of doing anything, but if you can take, an easier path, and not in a lazy way, but just in the, if somebody's like walked the path before, if somebody can help you get there, if somebody can make an introduction to you, it makes it so much easier. So rather than just be like, no, I'm going to do this myself, and start my own and be independent, it's not it's not a lack of independence. It's you're just kind of leveraging the relationships that you have. And again, it's a give and take. It's not like you're just kind of going in and asking and taking. You're going to give back as well. So just kind of look at who's out there, and who you can kind of I guess leverage and have access to, that can help you get to that next step, whatever it is, and then be that person for the other person coming along behind you as well, to just see if they can figure that out. So it's just when you look at everyone else, um, you want to just see where you can work together. I don't know where I heard the story, but there was a story about there was a high school kind of hallway, and they had all these balloons blown up, and they had written the people's names on all of the balloons. So like there would be a balloon in there that said NIK. They were all the same color balloons, so you had to go
Gotta
find
find
it.
your name.
So they did this experiment that says, okay, go at it, find, you have a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever to find your name. And like nobody found their name. It was just like, it was pandemonium.
Mhm.
And then they said, okay, now we're going to do it a different way with a framework. We want you to find a balloon. And when you find the balloon, read the name and go give the balloon to that person. And then within
Im-
like 5 minutes, everyone had their own bloom. So it's just like, it's just, if you add that kind of a framework to something like that, it's just everyone's helping everyone and it works out well. And I know that sounds very idealistically, but we can get some sort of level of that in the world as well.
We can.
Yeah.
We can. I mean, we've seen it, for
Yep.
the entire 2020, we've seen the community come together and work together.
Exactly,
So,
exactly, and deal with some big issues as well that
yeah.
needed to be dealt with, and I know we're not there yet by any means, but there's conversation, there's understanding, there's like on all sides of the fence, and that's important, and we just have to kind of keep on with that and get to where we need to get to.
Yeah. Support
Yeah.
your small businesses.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like how many people, I'm sure a lot of people listening to this went to a restaurant and left like a huge tip, and,
Exactly.
ate out when they didn't necessarily need to eat
Me
out, but
too.
just wanted to support support the restaurant, and or go get takeout because we couldn't actually get into the restaurant or whatever. But that's what you do. You just like, I heard so many families are like, yeah, once a week we're doing takeout, and we want to try
Mhm.
a different restaurant every
Every
week,
time.
and just kind of support these poor people who just
Yeah.
cannot get people into their restaurant right now. So
Awesome. So
yeah.
Sheila, can you share with us where we can, get in contact with you? Share some of your services that you offer.
Yeah,
And
so I actually have a little bit of a present for you guys if they're interested.
yeah,
So I put together it's like a 15-minute training on how to find sponsorships, and it's one of the tactics that I use, which is just finding the low-hanging fruit like straight off the bat. So it's on a thing called a one pager, which is like an editable PDF that they can go in, they can save it under their own name, make it their own, and there's a lot of brainstorming in there. But within the PDF, there's also a video. It's like a 15-minute training video where I kind of go through some tactics to find sponsors. once they get that, they'll be getting emails from me. They can respond to any of those emails. I can't respond to everyone, but I will always read everything. And if they need anything with that, I will reach out. Like if they respond and say, hey, I'm really stuck with this or something, I'll reach out to them and chat with them and figure it out.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, give us, where can we get the
Oh, I almost forgot that part. So it's connectedsponsors.com and then / finding sponsors. So connectedsponsors.com and / finding sponsors.
and I will definitely have the link below. Sheila, it
Perfect.
was such a great conversation just talking about sponsorship. And I hope that the audience took something away from it because it was a great conversation. And, if anyone, if you're thinking about, gaining sponsorship or putting your event out there to gain sponsorship, it's not about how many numbers or people you have, but it's about connecting with the right people.
Exactly.
Do you
Exactly.
have any last minute thing that you want
Um,
to share?
I just want to say thank you so much, Anna Kay. You've been awesome. This has been a great experience. You've been awesome in scheduling this. I know I wasn't easy, so thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay.
And thank you so much. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.